Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're diving into Okta Workflows, Okta's no-code automation platform for identity and IT. If you've ever wished you could automate onboarding, offboarding, or security responses without writing a single line of code, this is exactly the tool for that. Let's get into it.
So what exactly is Okta Workflows? In one sentence, it lets you build automations by connecting apps, events, and logic, no code required. This deck walks through the official Okta documentation, broken into a 20-part explainer, and I'll be going through it slide by slide so you walk away with a real working mental model, not just buzzwords. And if you want to go deeper after this, I've linked the official Workflows documentation in my site, cloudknowledge.in/tech, in the description.
Here's the roadmap for what we're covering today, in 6 parts. We'll start with the platform basics, what Workflows is and why it exists. Then we'll tour the console, folders, flows, tables, connections, and templates. From there we go into flow anatomy, the cards, connections, events, and fields that make a flow tick. Then governance, access control and execution limits. After that, advanced flows, parent, helper, and delegated flows, plus low latency mode. And we'll wrap up with data and APIs, tables, invoking flows externally, aliases, and tokens. 6 sections, let's knock them out one at a time.
Let's start with the core definition. Okta Workflows is a no-code automation platform that automates business processes by connecting a library of pre-built, third-party app integrations and logic functions without writing code. Here's the mental model I want you to hold onto. Every automation in Workflows follows the same 3-part shape. First, an event, something happens, like a new hire showing up in your HR system. Second, logic, you check conditions, like department and role. Third, an action, something actually happens as a result, like provisioning apps in Okta. It's built visually, you literally drag, drop, and connect cards on a canvas. It's triggered by real-time events, schedules, or API calls. And because it's native to Okta, it orchestrates identity, IT, HR, security, and business apps all together in one place.
Now, why would you actually use this? 4 big use case categories. 1. IT and identity lifecycle, automating the entire joiner mover leaver process. Provisioning, deprovisioning, access reviews, across every connected app. 2. Security operations, reacting to alerts in real time. Disable an account, notify a team, open a ticket, the instant risk is detected. 3. HR and employee experience, syncing new hires from your HR system, sending onboarding tasks, keeping records aligned across tools. 4. Business process automation more broadly, approvals, notifications, and data sync between your CRM, ticketing, collaboration, and cloud apps. Notice the pattern. This isn't just an IT tool. It's a glue layer across your entire business.
None of this works without connectors. Each app in Workflows is a pre-built connector that exposes a third-party services API as ready-to-use cards, so you're not manually wiring up API calls yourself. You've got connectors for the usual suspects: Google Workspace, Microsoft Azure AD, Slack, GitHub, Jira, AWS, Gmail, Box, HubSpot, DocuSign, Bamboo HR, ServiceNow. The list is huge. But here's the part people miss. If the connector you need doesn't exist yet, you're not stuck. The Connector Builder lets you build and publish your own custom connector for any REST API. And the Integration Builder takes it a step further. It can generate connectors and core flows automatically from an OpenAPI spec, including authentication. So even niche internal tools can plug into Workflows.
Let's tour the actual workspace. The console is your command center for building, organizing, and monitoring flows. 4 core pieces. Folders. Organize your flows and tables into a navigable structure, like onboarding, offboarding. Flows and tables, the actual building blocks you create and edit inside those folders. Connections, the authenticated links between workflows and your apps, like security alerts or HR sync connections. Templates, pre-built flow patterns to jumpstart common automations, so you're not always starting from zero.
Let's go one level deeper on structure. You can nest folders and subfolders to mirror your org, by team, environment, or app, and control access at any level. So you might have a root folder, with subfolders like IT automations and HR automations underneath. Inside any folder, you switch between the flows view and the tables view, flows being things like deprovision user, or new hire sync, and tables being structured data stores like app inventory. One practical tip straight from Okta here: keep your folder structure shallow. Deep nesting makes role-based access control and navigation genuinely harder to manage. Don't over-engineer your folder tree.
Now, authentication. A connection is an authenticated link between workflows and a third-party app. You create it once, and then every card and flow that needs that app just reuses it. You don't re-authenticate every single flow. The connections page is your central inventory. Every connection across your org in one list, showing status, active, or needs re-auth if a credential expired. It also shows you which flows depend on each connection, which is huge for impact analysis before you disconnect or rotate anything. And it supports the full range of auth methods: OAuth 2.0, API keys, basic auth, and mutual TLS.
For faster starts, Okta gives you templates, ready-made flows for common scenarios. You clone one, plug in your own connections, and adapt it instead of starting from a blank canvas. New orgs actually get a starter set installed automatically to demonstrate core concepts, things like an onboarding automation that provisions accounts and notifies teams when a new employee is created, a deactivation workflow that suspends access across connected apps when someone leaves, and Slack alerting that posts real-time notifications when a monitored event occurs. Great way to learn the patterns before you build your own from scratch.
This is one of the most important slides in the whole deck, so pay attention here. Every flow is built from 4 core building blocks. Connections, the authenticated links a card uses to call an app's API. Events, the trigger that starts a flow, a webhook, a schedule, or a poll. Cards, the visual blocks, one per step, that actually make up the flow. Think of them like an event card such as new row, a function card like format text, and an action card like send email. Fields, the inputs and outputs each card reads and produces, which is how data flows from one card to the next. Once this clicks, the rest of workflows is just variations on this same pattern.
Cards themselves split into 2 types, and knowing the difference will save you a lot of confusion later. Action cards talk to the outside world. They call a connected app's API, create, read, update, delete, and they require a connection to authenticate. Examples: create user, send email, post message. Function cards process data inside the flow. Their built-in logic, text manipulation, math, dates, lists, conditionals, and they need no external connection at all. Examples: if, else, format text, get current time. Simple rule of thumb: if it's reaching outside workflows, it's an action card. If it's just crunching data you already have, it's a function card.
So what actually kicks a flow off? 4 trigger types. Webhook, or real-time, an app pushes a notification the instant something happens, like a new row or a file upload. Polling monitor, workflows periodically checks an app's API for new or changed data, instead of waiting to be pushed to. Schedule, runs on a recurring interval you define, hourly, daily, weekly. API endpoint, another system calls the flow directly, on demand, over HTTP. Choosing the right trigger type is really an architecture decision. Real-time feels responsive but depends on the app supporting webhooks, while polling and schedules are more universal but less instant.
Here's a more advanced concept. Some action cards can stream results, processing records one at a time instead of loading an entire dataset into memory at once. Why does this matter? It's ideal for large lists, think thousands of users, files, or rows. Streaming reduces memory pressure and helps you avoid hitting execution limits. It's commonly paired with a helper flow that searches for matching records. And it's configured per card, wherever streaming is actually supported. If you're building anything that touches a large dataset, this is the feature to reach for.
Now let's talk governance, because automation without access control is a liability. Access control determines who can view, edit, run, or manage flows, and it's enforced at the org, folder, and resource level in a layered structure. At the top, Workflows admin, full control across the entire Workflows org, managing roles, folders, and settings. In the middle, folder-level roles, scope permissions granted on specific folders, like editor, viewer, or runner. And at the bottom, resource permissions, fine-grained control over individual flows, tables, and connections. Worth noting, Okta also covers syncing Workflows users and groups directly from Okta, and system log events for auditing any access control changes, so you've got a full trail of who changed what. 2 guardrail features here. First, Flow execution history. Every single run is logged with its inputs, outputs, card-by-card status, and timing. This is essential for troubleshooting when something goes wrong. Second, execution limits, caps on run duration, loop iterations, and payload size. These protect the platform from runaway or inefficient flows. If you hit a limit, it surfaces as a clear error right in the execution history. The practical takeaway. Design large jobs with streaming and helper flows, which we just covered, specifically to stay within these limits.
As your automations grow, you don't want one giant monolithic flow. That's where flow composability comes in, 3 flow types working together. Parent flow, the primary flow that calls other flows as reusable subroutines, keeping the main logic clean and modular. Helper flow, a supporting flow invoked by a parent to perform a focused task, like searching for a matching record. Delegated flow, a flow another team owns and exposes for you to call, enabling safe cross-team reuse without you needing shared editing rights. This is essentially the same principle as functions and modules in traditional programming, just applied visually.
2 performance and resilience features to know. Low latency mode runs eligible flows on an accelerated execution path for near-instant response, critical for real-time, user-facing automations, like custom authentication or registration flows. Eligibility depends on strict criteria though, the card types used, no long-running waits, and simplified branching. Not every flow qualifies. Backing up flows and folders lets you export them as backup snapshots you can restore from, protecting against accidental deletion or unwanted changes. You can set up a reusable backup template, schedule or trigger backups on demand, and even export and import flows between different orgs.
Let's talk data types, because flows are only as good as the data moving through them. Tables are built-in databases inside workflows, store rows of structured data your flows can read and write. Lists are ordered collections of values a flow can loop over, filter, sort, or transform. Numbers and text are your core data types, with dedicated function cards for math, formatting, and string manipulation. Together, these let your flows actually manipulate real information, not just move it from point A to point B, which is what enables things like filtering, deduplication, and record matching.
Last technical piece. How do you call a workflows flow from outside workflows entirely? 3 concepts. API endpoint flows. Any flow can be invoked as a REST API endpoint, called from outside apps, scripts, or services, secured with OAuth 2.0 or a client token. Flow aliases, a stable, friendly identifier for a flow's endpoint, so the URL you call doesn't need to change even when the underlying flow gets updated. Flow client token, a dedicated credential for authenticating direct API calls into a flow, separate from setting up full OAuth. This is what turns workflows from just an internal automation tool into something other systems can actively call into.
Let's bring it all together. We covered the platform basics, the console, flow anatomy, governance, advanced flow types, and data and APIs, the full map of Okta Workflows. Now that you've got that map, there are really 2 next steps Okta points you toward. Build flows, connecting apps, customizing cards, setting schedules and error handling, and building your first flow end-to-end. And run flows, invoking flows via API, running delegated flows, resuming paused runs, and reading execution logs. I'll drop the full documentation link in the description if you want to go build something yourself.
That's a wrap for this one. If this helped you understand Okta Workflows, drop a like, subscribe for the rest of this series, and let me know in the comments what you want covered next. Maybe we go build a real onboarding flow from scratch. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.